Did this raid come out of anywhere, or were there precursors to this? Jonathan Raymond on our digital team is joining me now. Jonathan, you have a great article up right now talking about the timeline of this. So, I mean, if you've been paying attention, I guess it really didn't come out of nowhere.
No, it's ramped up in the last several months, but it actually goes back quite a ways. Where it starts is that in November of 2024, the state election board issued 2 subpoenas to Fulton County to obtain all these records that were yesterday seized by the FBI. So that sort of sets things in motion. That same month, the county filed a motion to quash the subpoena or block it. And so that was a state court case that was not highly publicized, but was in the background. Then you get to last summer. Last summer, the state election board, still having not obtained these materials, passed a resolution asking the Attorney General of the United States to assist them, basically. I think the exact language they used was to effect compliance with voting transparency.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward another few months. In October, the state election board issued a new subpoena. And that's really when this starts ramping up. That same month, the DOJ sent a letter to the Fulton County Board of Registration and Elections saying, the state election board in your state has asked for these materials. We want to obtain them on behalf of the SEB. So, and then that's where it keeps going on from there. There were more letters passed between the two. The county claimed that the records were under seal and could not be provided absent a court order. And then in December, the DOJ sues Fulton County for these materials. And then that progressed up to the point of, I guess, yesterday when this raid happens. And so now I guess the question would be if that federal lawsuit now faces issues of mootness, or I don't know what happens with it at this point, because the records that the DOJ wants, the FBI now has. Meanwhile, the state case that goes back to 2024 was somewhat resolved in late December. Judge Robert McBurney in Fulton County, who people may recognize that name because he has been part of all the varying Trump proceedings, going back to Fani Willis and all that, he says that the subpoena will not be quashed. He sides with the state election board. He says, and he uses very kind of colorful language at times in his orders, but going into, essentially saying, I don't know why this matter that's 5 years old is before me, but the state election board has this authority. It is within their purview to want these records. And he says, you guys need to comply basically with the subpoena. Then the sticking point at that point was, well, Fulton County saying it's going to cost us $400,000 to produce these records. So then they had a hearing scheduled actually just last week for March that would have resolved the matter of how much it would cost Fulton County to give over these records. Again, I don't know if that runs into matter of mootness or because the records are now in someone's possession, the someone being the FBI.
And when you talk about records, we're talking about physical ballots,
yes,
ballot images produced by scanning ballots, voter rolls, and tabulator tapes. That's a ton of information that voters maybe once thought would be kept private. And I'm just wondering if this is about preservation of evidence now, or if somebody at the FBI is going to be tasked with the laborious task of counting all the voter rolls from 2020.
That is a really central question, because where this has evolved from the original lawsuits and claims that came out basically in November and December of 2020 is that there's sort of two main contentions, if you will. The first is fairly straightforward, and these are the things that have been coming up before the state election board, like the admission by Fulton County that 130 or so, 140 tabulator tapes were not signed. That made headlines back in December. And the Georgia Republican Party statement actually put it pretty succinctly yesterday, where they referred to ballot handling and chain of custody procedures. So there is a growing record with complaints that have come before the state election board with activists who have kept pushing this since 2020, that indicates that Fulton County didn't do a lot of what it was supposed to do in terms of record keeping, administrative stuff. Whether that goes to something deeper, the activists would say yes. The state, Brad Raffensperger had a statement in December saying that it was a clerical error. That's a debate that we cannot resolve here right now.
Have we heard from him, by the way, after
Since
yesterday?
I do not know.
I haven't seen.
So that's one tack of it. The
Yeah.
other tack of it is that now these ballots have been seized by the FBI. They're the essential fundamental record of, if you think you're going to find something, that's where it would be. This is not, the tapes were not signed or ballot images weren't preserved, which might say that Fulton County failed in some respect and could be sanctioned in some kind of way. This is the fundamental record of the 2020 election. The FBI now has the ballots. Again, people who have been contesting this for a long time would say what they're going to go in there and find is the doctored ballots, the fake ballots. I don't know what the FBI thinks it's going to find. That is, I guess, what we will discover over the course of months that now proceed from here.
I think so. Jonathan Raymond, thank you so much. If you want to read his article right now, it's on 11alive.com. FBI raid at Fulton County Elections Office. What led up to this? Jonathan, appreciate your time today.